So welcome. Today topic is Angular architecture. So Angular framework is to build the client application based on the HTML and TypeScripts. So Angular comes up with directives and data markups which modifies the attributes of DOM elements of HTML and the structure of the HTML views. Angular framework and provides the framework libraries to make use of it and develop the Angular application. So Angular best feature of the Angular is the Angular is the modularity is designed in such a way that so our application is a collection of modules. So this reduces the complexity of our application and then make our reusable components and to so that is easy to develop the applications. So so to build the application and these we build based on this basic building blocks and those are that ng modules and components and services and routing. So ng module actually it makes our our application more modularized and then our application is a collection of the modules is reusable and Angular framework itself is a set of modules. Every application must have one class which is annotated with the ng module and that must have one class and that is the compilation context of that application and all the components are defined in our application must be declared in ng module and then all the libraries or the framework library modules which is required to run our application must be imported here in this ng module. By default Angular uh, creates that app module that will be compilation context for the application. In that we declare our components, we import the required modules. So Angular of is a collection of ng module and each module will have a one ng module compilation context. In that within that it can import as many modules as required by the Angular application. So once thus this is defined and then that is the next basic building block for is that component is the basic building block for designing a screen and one page is associated with the one template. So that template view is actually represents the one screen. So component is one component associated with the one template. The template can have a n number of subviews and template can have a n number of child components. Screen can be divided into the number of parts and each fragment represents one child component. So component is to define the view and component the views is bind to the data in the data of the component. So that is about the component to define the view and then apply application. The component will have application logic and the data binding to the views. So next is that building block is services. Service provides the functionality which is not related to the component views. So we so there is the business logic which is applied to before rendering the data to the view so that we keep it in put it in service and then we a service is for making a web API calls. Then so this service is injected so wherever the component is this required, the component is required this service, the service is injected through the dependency ingestion. So the make service is reusable and then injectable wherever it is needed. The routing is the module which Angular framework provides us to define the navigation path and then associated components. So when user enters the URL, that associated component will be loaded onto the page. So the routing, not only that URL, so wherever it is in screen, if it is clicks on the link, so that link is associated component will be loaded onto the page. And the routing also for take care of the navigation back and forward button. So so routing is basically Angular framework provides us to define the paths and associated components so that we can navigate between the pages. So this is the major building block for building an Angular application. We must define ng module, one class which is make it as ng module, and then the our application will have a number of screen. So each screen represents defines by one component, and then service that keeps the functionality which is not related to the views will keep in the service, and it's injected to the dependency injection whichever the component is required. This is about basic overview of the Angular architecture.